Hi everyone, it's Phil here from Ashland Leather, and today I'm really excited to show you some brand new wallets. We've got a special private stock event with some raw natural shell cordovan. And if you're looking for patina, this is the absolute best it gets in my experience. So on the left here, I have a piece of raw natural shell cordovan. This is on our Fat Herbie wallet. This has never been worn, and this is how it will start. You can see it's got a nice little bit of a luster to it, but it's more of like a matte finish, especially when you compare it to the shell as it ages. You can see again, the color very, very light, very, very tan, and a little bit less bright and shiny. The second one here, this is a really special Herbie that I wore. This is actually one of the prototypes that I wore for a year. And you can see immediately the difference in the luster on this wallet. It's become a little bit more glassy on the surface. And the reason that's become more bright and shiny is because those waxes have been activated and reactivated for about a year, just polishing in my pocket. So we've developed a little bit of a surface luster just from the natural wearing of this veg tan leather. And the other aspect of patina that I like to note is the change in color. And you can see the color has changed a significant amount. It's become a little bit more golden brown, especially when you compare it to the unworn raw natural on the left here. And then the third one, this one has been worn for about 10 years. This is a Fat Herbie that I wore about 10 years ago. I ended up giving it to my brother Matt. And full transparency here, this is not raw natural, but this is a normal piece of natural shell cordovan. This is how the raw natural will wear in. So looking at the luster on this one, even more bright and shiny. And that's again from 10 years of just being polished in a pocket over and over and over. All the waxes that have been tanned into this leather are just coming back up to the surface and getting smoothed in, flattened out a bit. You'll notice that this has picked up a significant amount of scuffs and scratches just from normally wearing it. The interesting thing about shell cordovan is those scuffs and scratches tend to blend in very easily. And the reason that these scuffs and scratches are able to be removed quite easily from the cordovan is because that dense layer of shell cordovan is pretty thick. When you scuff just the top layer of the shell, there's still more substance below it that you're able to polish back into. So it's a little bit different than most grain leathers. The other more unique feature of shell cordovan is that it never creases. So if I flex this leather like you see here, you're never going to get any pebbling and delamination that you might see on a grain layer of another leather. This will always retain that very flat, smooth, and even look. So comparing this wallet here that's been worn for 10 years to the raw natural, very, very big difference. I think a lot of people coming to buy a wallet from us are very interested in getting a wallet that will develop a patina that is unique to their style. And that's exactly what I think raw natural is perfect for. I have several different wallet styles that we're going to look at in a minute, but first I wanted to show you some behind the scenes footage of the tannery and how they make the shell cordovan. And this is a look at the horse butts after they have been pickled, and I'll be able to tell if it was pickled properly if my thumb leaves an impression like you see there. We're up in the cordovan department here with Lorenzo. Hi, Lorenzo. And Lorenzo is sorting out the different horse butts here for clarity. So some of these are not appropriate to be made into some lighter shades. And on the raw shell cordovan that we do, this is pretty much how you get it. We'll take a little bit of a closer look. You can really see the directionality and the color of the shell here. And let's walk over here. They're applying some color to some of the horse butts. So the raw natural shell cordovan does not get this step here, but just about every other color gets an application applied on this machine. And this is called a brush finishing machine. You can see the leather coming out as the stain has been applied to it. Sometimes they do a little bit of hand swabbing on here, and then they get dried on sticks with just a little bit of air. And you can see these old-time fans up above just blowing air across these sticks. And I believe this color that's being run today, this is actually Ravello shell cordovan, so it's a little bit more of a true brown. But they run all the colors through that brush finish machine and then stick dry them here. I wanted to give you a look at some more of the cordovan department here because this is a very unexciting thing to look at. But this step here, where you see the horse butts sitting in a pile, this is probably the most important step. And what we're utilizing here is time. So all of this leather has been tanned and curried with a special blend of waxes and oils. In fact, they've also been hot stuffed in the same way that the Chromexcel leather is hot stuffed in those steam tumbled mills. As the leather sits here, it tends to cure in the same way that you might dry age a steak. So the longer this leather sits in the pile, the better the feel becomes, and also the luster, the look, everything about it is just better the longer it sits here in this pile. So you will have roughly 2 to 3 months of the leather sitting in a pile just like this, not doing anything other than just waiting to be finished into a color. And one more thing that we're actually not doing for the raw shell cordovan is utilizing these old-timey jacks that you see here. This is called a glazing jack. If you look at this rod right here, there's actually a glass rod that rubs against this strip of leather. And when you put a piece of cordovan underneath it, it really brightens up and shines the leather. So normal shell cordovan gets glazed on these glazing jacks. The raw shell cordovan does not have. I'm walking in here on what's one of the more visually striking parts of the production process of shell cordovan. This is a process called shaving, where they are shaving down to reveal that dense fiber layer known as the shell cordovan. So this is the first shaving here. The leather's been pit tanned for a month at this point, and we're revealing a little bit again of that dense fiber layer, just so they can start to produce it, start to work on it. This is the first stage of the process where we can see the shell. So they're going to separate up the area that is not shell above these two oval shapes here, and that's a part that they call the strip. And then they're going to separate those oval shapes and start to process that into the cordovan that we all know and love. And the second stage over here, this is actually the second shaving. The leather has been back into the tanning pits for another month. And now we're refining that shell layer even further to get it very, very flat and smooth. So at this point, right after he's done shaving here, this is what we would know as the raw shell cordovan. So no finish has been applied. Nothing has been glazed onto the leather. You just get that very natural veg tan look and a very smooth layer of the shell cordovan. So after the leather has been shaved down to that dense fiber layer, we're trimming off a little bit of the shape that is not shell. So all these little strips here are not shell, and we're separating out this dense fiber layer, again, the cordovan, from everything else. And after this point, we still need to dry the leather a slight amount. It doesn't take too long at this point. And then they will apply different stains to achieve whatever color they're looking for, and then glaze and polish in the leather to get you whatever color you want, and then that same level of luster that most people look for in the shell. All right, we're in the last section of the tannery here. This is the measuring machine. And a lot of people have questions about how the shell cordovan gets stamped. And this is the only place where the shell cordovan will receive that ink stamp. So after the leather is measured, and you can see maybe right there, you can see right there that number reading is the area of whatever goes through this device. After it gets measured and stamped with the size, the cordovan gets stamped with this shell cordovan ink stamp here, and just one time per each shell. And I'm back at the Ashland workshop again here. We're going to start off looking at the raw natural shell cordovan items that are now available on the private stock page of our website. Starting off first here with the Fat Herbie wallet. This is the wallet style that I choose to wear, and it's a little bit larger than most people would expect a wallet to be. I like it for that reason. I actually wear my wallet in the back pocket, so for me, this is the best back pocket wallet around. On the inside, we've got something that's a little bit unique as well. You can see the card layout. None of these card holders are stacked on top of each other, and what this does for you is it gives you a wallet that will lay flatter in your pocket. So for that reason, I find this to be the best back pocket wallet around. It's less like sitting on a big softball, and it's much flatter than most wallets. The other great thing about Fat Herbie is the bill slot on the outside of the wallet. This is something you also don't see very frequently in wallets, is an exterior bill slot. This is great because I find it to be tremendously easy to get cash in and out of. And in addition to that, this will fit all the paper currency in the world. So if you're a traveler and you want to carry some larger euro notes, the Fat Herbie here will carry that perfectly. And we get this extra large context of leather to look at. So if you're trying to develop and accumulate patina, I find a little bit of a larger context of leather to be more interesting to look at. I just love seeing the range from the darker areas in the corner to a little bit lighter in the center. Next up here is our most popular wallet style. This is the Johnny the Fox, and I find that most people, when they imagine a men's style wallet, this is what they imagine. It's a very traditional bifold. We have a bill slot in the back with card holders on the interior, and ours have 3 card holders on each side. There's hidden card slots under each side as well. So for most people, they're trying to wear this in a back pocket. I've seen people wear this wallet successfully in a front pocket also. All of the edges on all the raw natural Shell Cordovan wallets here are waxed and burnished. There's no color added to the edges, so it will also patina on the edge, which is very interesting. And we're getting a little bit more minimalist in style here. This is our Capone money clip, also in the raw natural Shell Cordovan. You may have noticed that some of the raw natural shells here have a little bit of a color range. So some angles it's a little bit darker, and then other angles it is a little bit lighter. That's a very unique thing to Shell Cordovan. Also, there's a directionality to the fibers of the shell. So if you look at it and spin it around, that color will change right before your eyes, sort of in the same way that a suede will look. If you mat down the nap in one direction, it might appear a little bit darker, and then if you mat it back in the other direction, it might appear a little bit lighter. The same thing's happening here on the Shell Cordovan, although it's on a much smaller scale. Let's look at this Capone money clip though, because this one has 2 card holders on the exterior of the wallet. Some people call this quick access card slots. I actually found it to be a very appropriate word to use because I noticed wearing this one, the exterior card slots were the slots that I went to most frequently. So I put my credit card, driver's license on the exterior slots. Very, very quick and easy to get at. In the interior, we also have 2 card slots. This is a little bit better for something like a health insurance card. I would put a little bit lesser used cards on the interior. The last thing to note about the Capone money clip is the money clip. So on the inside of this, we have a spring bar money clip. It's a very strong clip. And if people are experiencing a clip that is not holding even a single bill in place very firmly, that might be because the spring is not tightened all the way around. So there are 2 mechanisms or 2 components to the mechanism here. And if they're not screwed tightly together, it will not hold as much pressure as if they're unscrewed. So if you're having any issues with that tension being in place, just pull this thing out and tighten it back together. Up next is the Tony the Ant wallet style. You'll notice on this guy, we also have that exterior bill slot. It's sort of like a smaller version of the Fat Herbie. And this was a wallet that we came up with because people were asking for exactly that. They wanted the Fat Herbie aesthetic with the exterior bill slot here, but slimmed down. So you can see on the interior, we've got a little bit of a different card layout than on the Fat Herbie. There's 2 card holders on each side. And on the outside, you do have that 1 bill slot, although some of the taller euro and taller yens will stick up just a bit above this thumb notch, about 1 to 5 millimeters. And this is our Bugs Moran wallet style. It's very similar to the Tony the Ant that we just looked at with these card layout on the inside. And what's very interesting about this one is it's a perfect minimalist wallet, and it's also about the size of a deck of cards. So for me, this is about the perfect size for a handheld object. There's something remarkable about the size that might not make sense over the video here, but when you get this in person, it just sort of feels right in your hand. And then something like the raw natural shell, wearing this one in your front pocket, you will get a bit of patina, whether or not you wear it in your front or back pocket. I find the back pocket to get a little bit more of a polishing action going on. And let's look at the inside again very quickly. 4 card slots, the larger 2 card slots again will hold US dollars folded in half. You'll notice there's a little bit less space in between the card holders on the Bugs Moran, and that's because we wanted to tighten it up and make it as punchy as possible, a more minimalist style as possible. So this is hold a little bit more together as opposed to the Tony, which is a little bit longer to accommodate the bill slot and holding cash in the back. And similar to the Bugs Moran, this is another version of the Bugs Moran, which we did also by customer request. This is what we've been calling the vertical card slot Bugs Moran. So you can see on the vertical card slots, we've got 2 on the left, 2 on the right. There's also hidden card slots underneath each of the sides there. We cut the Horween Shell Cordovan ink stamp into visible spots on all the wallets. We try to at least. And this one is cut just about perfectly into the center. Let's look at the exterior of this. It's the same footprint as the traditional Bugs Moran that we just looked at. Perfect for a front pocket. Actually, for me personally, I prefer the card layout on the traditional Bugs Moran. A lot of people seem to prefer the layout on the vertical Bugs. We actually sell more of the vertical Bugs these days. And getting more and more minimalist here, this is our one-shot card case. Very, very simple design. And this one is designed with a front pocket minimalist wear in mind. So you can put roughly 4 to 6 cards inside of this single slot. This is a good way, a good inexpensive way to try out a different type of leather that you might be curious about. This is our least expensive wallet style. So I like to wear this one for date nights, or if I'm going to a more formal event and I don't want to carry a Fat Herbie, for example, something a little bit more slim, sleek. I think the one shot is a great option for that. And speaking of slim and sleek, this is our Frank the Enforcer wallet, another front pocket minimalist style. And this one does not fold. It's one of our non-bifold wallets. So great for a front pocket, lays very, very flat, especially if you don't load it up with too much stuff. Frank the Enforcer has a larger slot in the center. And this large slot here will fit US dollars folded in half, and it will be fully concealed inside of there. There are 2 card slots on the front and then 1 card slot on the back with this thumb notch. And we're going to circle all the way back to the Fat Herbie. I wanted to show you again this patina. So raw natural shell cordovan, remarkable for patina. I think this is the leather to have if you want a dramatic look, and it very much makes the wallet your own style. So depending upon how you wear the raw natural shell cordovan, it'll be very much become unique to your style, and it'll be very different than the next person's Fat Herbie. So you can see on this Herbie that I wore, you can see some of the denim crocking that has come off onto the leather. It gets a little bit of a blue color in certain sections, and then as I've sat on it, some of the texture of the denim actually comes and gets pressed into the wallet as well. If you're trying to avoid some of that texture, don't wear it with raw denim. Maybe just wear it with slacks or something like that, and it will not pick up that impression. Many people come to us looking for patina, and I always point them into the raw shell cordovan direction. And this is the reason you're seeing here. Really dramatic look in terms of color and in terms of luster. Let's compare those again just to show you how big of a difference you get just from 1 year of wear as opposed to 10 years of wear on this Fat Herbie here. So if you have any questions about raw natural shell cordovan, please don't hesitate to leave me a comment. I tried to check and respond to all those. And if you're looking to pick up a raw natural shell cordovan item, there's a limited quantity of each of the wallets that we just looked at over on the private stock page of our website, ashlandleather.com. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. And until next time, I hope you have a good one.